All right, we have quorum, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 7:04. I am Deb Travis, the chair of the Bronx Community Board 8's Parks and Recreation Committee. I have just a few housekeeping items for folks who are attending the call this evening. As the Community Board Committee, we loosely follow Robert's Rules of Order. We will be following the agenda that was previously distributed. If we open a topic to general discussion, we ask that if you would like to speak, that you raise your hand and I will call on you. Our goal is to have a good, robust discussion of our agenda items, and I expect we'll be able to do that tonight without too much trouble. You may only get to speak once on an individual topic, so just make sure to make it count. I'm gonna let folks in. If you're not speaking, we ask that you keep yourself muted to prevent background noise from interrupting others. If you're on Zoom, to raise your hand, you will select reactions at the bottom of the screen. If you're on the phone, which I don't think we have anybody on the phone, but *6 is mute, unmute, and *9 is to raise your hand. Next, I'll move on to roll call. Bob Bender. Here. Carol Blake. Here. Miriam Filer. Here. And I'm Deb Travis, the chair. So we're all present. Are there there's no other community board members? I see that's Stephanie. Who's here from Van Cortlandt Park Alliance?
Hi, it's Christina. Sorry, trying to change my name right now.
No, that's all fine. I just want to make sure I didn't have any, if I had anybody from any agency. So I've got Christina here, from the Van Cortlandt Park Alliance. Right, that's it. Next, I'd like to move on to the approval of the minutes of the February 25th, 2026 committee meeting, which were distributed to committee members ahead of the meeting. Does anybody on the committee have any changes? Okay. All right, if there are no objections, I move to approve the minutes by unanimous consent. All right, the minutes of February 25th, 2026 are unanimously approved. As far as chair's report goes, it's really just an update on the 3 letters. So one is the letter to the Parks Department regarding the budget. We've gotten comments back from the committee. I just need to pull it all together and send it off to Julie and Artie, which I'll do this week. We've got the letter of support for Bailey Playground reconstruction. That is currently with Julie to make any changes she wants and to sign. And then we have a letter of recognition for the spring shindig that Van Cortlandt Park Alliance is hosting. Julie is drafting that, so she has to take the first swing. So she's going to work on that.
Could I make one comment about the 1% letter,
Oh, yeah.
budget?
Yeah, you heard good feedback about it.
Yeah, well, there's I believe this is being discussed at the city council tomorrow, because I'm on the mailing list for New Yorkers for Parks, and they did send something around asking everyone who's interested in the subject, which I presume is all of us, to send a statement to the council, but it has to be done before 4 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay.
And if you don't know what to do, just go to the New Yorkers for Parks website, and they have a draft letter there. You can just use that letter and put your name on it. But it's completely consistent with what our letter is,
Right.
about the appropriate budget for the parks.
Okay.
And Bob, just to clarify, that would be for me, like my own.
Right. We would be
Yeah,
doing this
just-
individually, yes.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
good, because then I can also make a point of trying to get our letter out and over to Julie to sign tomorrow, so we can try to get it in.
Yeah,
Perfect. Wait, what was it? Can you repeat that? New
New Yorkers for Parks, it's ny4p.org, ORG.
Oh, see, I would not have.
Right, that's where you can find them, ny4p.org.
Okay.
I mean, actually, it's a good website
And
to be in touch with anyway.
what was it? It's a
Mhm.
council meeting, you said?
The council is having a hearing tomorrow on the parks budget, I believe.
Yeah,
I'm
so
pretty
you
sure
should-
that's the reason for it.
I
Okay.
thought that was,
Yeah.
no, the hearing was Monday, the 23rd, and you have
Yes.
72 hours to submit written testimony.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you, Jody.
Yep.
I don't see where it is, but I'll figure it out.
Okay. All right, so the first item on the agenda, thank you, Bob, for that. That's very helpful.
Sure.
Is the discussion of the SAPO. Lou, I see your hand is up.
Yeah,
I'll wait and call.
that's fine.
You-
I didn't know when to raise it.
Yeah. I'll the next opportunity for public discussion will be for the SAPO. So you may not want to have your hand up for that unless you're planning on discussing the SAPO as well. But otherwise I'll see you under new business.
Thank you.
Um, Yeah, so Ray, the floor is yours. I will unmute you. So tell us what's going on.
Hi, everybody. Good to be back in this space. And I really remember the times when you've helped us out with our SAPOs in the past. So thank you. This is a pretty standard New York restoration project tree giveaway. All the trees, actually, I think they are all spoken for, in fact. So it's just going to be a distribution. We went ahead and uploaded the insurance and things like this. The only thing I have a question about, and I hope I'm not bringing up something that I shouldn't, but it says full pedestrian plaza closure. I don't understand why the plaza has to be closed fully, or whether that's just a the way it's stated. I'm not sure. It is by April 19th, it's a pretty frequently used plaza. There are tables there and chairs, so people come and have coffee and stuff. I don't think it would be a interruption to our tree giveaway. So that's why I just mentioned it. Otherwise, it's fairly straightforward.
Okay. And then, I would assume the full pedestrian plaza closure is more about kind of the event establishing kind of perimeters where it'll set up tables and where it will have lines and kind of having the freedom to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the public certainly can move around that, right? But that you'll be kind of occupying the space and giving out the trees. How big are the trees? Are they substantial? Is it would there be an expectation there would be debris or dirt or anything left behind?
No, they're relatively small trees, from my understanding. Yeah.
Are they
saplings?
Like the little tiny?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually think they're bigger. Actually, this is our first time doing this tree giveaway, so I don't really have that answer. Jody might know.
Jody, do you know?
Or Christina?
I don't know what they do now, but they used to do like 3-inch caliber, and they were like
big,
like 5 feet tall or something like that. But I don't know what they do now. I guess it depends on their money. But you could go to Ewan Park. They're hosting one soon, so you can go and see them there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who's eligible for the trees?
There's a website, where you can request a tree that's being provided. There's a list of the trees that are offered, and then people can choose. And as far as I know, all our trees have been selected.
So is it for homeowners to plant the trees in their backyards, or
Yep.
like where should the trees be? Where are the trees being planted?
It's open to everyone, but they could be planted on private properties, and otherwise they're added to other. I haven't gone over the list to see who has requested them, but I know that they are, open to private property as well.
Is the standard expectation that they would be planted in tree pits?
Not necessarily.
Right.
Well, you can plant in a tree pit, like a public sidewalk tree pit,
Right, that's right.
without permission from the
Park
park
department, or
Right.
matching a species, it has to
Mhm.
be a species they would plant, that's why I was wondering, like,
Right.
where, 'cause I have had volunteers show up at my events with trees, like the little tiny ones, where they're just trying to plant them in parks, which is a
Mhm.
problem.
Right.
We've gotten trees given to us like at public libraries. We've
Yeah.
gotten them before and they're pretty big. They're like 5 feet as they've described.
Yeah.
And we just plant them at home.
In their yard, right?
Yeah, my yard. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's what we're supposed to do.
I think that's what
I'm
they're
not in
for.
trouble now.
Yeah, no,
I think that we're
Right.
supposed to do it in our yard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's
Are
any
they all-
like guerrilla gardening happening or any, I think they're going to be well spoken for.
They're the expectation is they're planting them in your yard, I assume they're all native.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And do you know who's doing the funding, or anything like that? I just wanna like have a nice little summary of like what the event is.
It's New York Restoration Project,
Mhm.
NYRP.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Any questions from the committee regarding the closure of the plaza? Where,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You're closing off a space that cars typically go through? Is that what it is? No.
No, it is a
not at all.
pedestrian plaza, and there's no cars coming through. So it's not like a street closure or anything like this. Deb, you've seen it, and Christina and Jody. It was an unused roadway that was converted to a pedestrian plaza.
Okay.
so adjacent to DeWitt Clinton High School, Sedgwick Avenue runs one way. And then Goulden comes in, and there used to be a slip lane. And so at one point they blocked off the slip lane, and then that thing is now a pedestrian plaza, which has become the James Baldwin James Baldwin pedestrian plaza, that's what it's
Just
called.
James Baldwin Plaza.
James Baldwin Plaza is what it's been designated now, which is great. Where will the cars be pulling up to load the trees into? Are you thinking they're gonna load on Sedgwick or Goulden?
Actually, the best place closest to the plaza would be West Mosholu Parkway, south.
Okay,
Yeah, the lane that goes right in front of DeWitt Clinton. There's a
Yeah.
Is there
pull up.
parking?
There's parking in the area, yeah, and it's Saturdays, so the school is closed. There's parking on Mosholu, on Goulden, and Sedgwick. We have our JBLC Garden Community Farmers Market there, starting the 7th season. We started during COVID, 2020, so we're it's a well attended market, a real community resource. So, we're tree lovers. We want to, activate the space for this reason.
yeah. I think there's a city bike dock right there adjacent to the plaza, but they'll have to just go down a little bit further.
But there's not a concern about double parking or emergency vehicles getting through. or
It's
anything
a
like that.
bus route going around and down that street, but I don't think there'll be any problem. I don't think so. So any questions from the phone, from Zoom? Any other, shall we vote? So, I haven't written a resolution yet, but I'll put together just a very basic one of whereas this is happening on this date, at this time. And that, do I have a second for the resolution?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, so anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, where's my sheet that I'm supposed to fill out for all these, so they have them in there. There it is. My SEPA application sheet, all right. So, all right, so it passes unanimously,
Thank you.
right? And thank you, Ray, you're all set?
All right. I'm going to say goodnight, if that's all right.
That is very reasonable.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Good night,
Have a
Ray.
great meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next I want to move on to discussion of our fiscal year 28 budget priorities. So last time we met, we kind of made a tentative top five. Number one is Bailey Playground. Oh, do you?
It's not a
Right here.
on my lap. Here with me.
Number one is Bailey Playground. I wanted tonight to put together an order if we can. And also to just finalize any language for the description. So, well, the first, I was saying the first slot is redesign and reconstruction of Bailey Playground. Reconstruction of play equipment and safety surfacing, incorporate adjacent Tibbetts Tail area into an expanded Bailey Playground, reduce asphalt and add green space. Add space for District 8 operations. Any proposed changes to the text?
Can I ask you a question? Why are you using the word reconstruction and not replacement?
It's just it's the standard word for
But they are synonyms in this context.
reconstruction is just the word the parks use.
Yeah, but okay, they mean the same thing basically.
I don't know why parks uses reconstruction, so I don't know if replacement would mean something different. Because I don't think it's not a like for like replacement necessarily.
No, that's fair, but they're pulling out what's there and they're putting in new.
They're reconstructing the existing use.
Okay, okay.
I mean, it's also a reconfiguration of the playground because there's
Yeah,
a lot of open
No, I
space.
agree with you, but I just wanna make sure, I mean, I just wanna make sure that they're putting in new, yeah, okay,
Well,
yeah,
that's-
it's
that's
always
the
gonna
whole-
be new.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
intention.
great.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate the raising it as it's like a literary editor versus English major versus.
Right, no, like, I just, yeah.
But I think reconstruction's the safest bet in terms of the word because it's.
No, fair, and I
says,
understand within this context how
yeah.
it means, but like to me, I would just think, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it essentially is what we're talking about is taking what's there, removing it and putting something else in the same, that is the same use. And reconfigure it however they're gonna reconfigure it.
Mhm. Right, same use, so same population.
Still a playground.
Correct, great, got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
So restoration and additional lighting of Lower Brust Park staircase. So I reached out to the Friends of Brust Park to ask them about the lighting. And I think they're not really in favor of lighting. Because of concerns around like bats and birds and things that live in the park at night. That they actually kind of like it being a darker space and that their feeling is that the lighting from Manhattan College lights the lower park areas. I mean, which is probably true. It's really the stairs when you're actually trying to go through the park where it's just super dark.
Mhm.
I mean, it could be that instead of lighting, that the ask ultimately when it's actually in design is to have something reflective, so you can just if you have lighting, you can see clearly where the edges of the steps are, and
Yeah,
you can see it a little bit better.
Mhm.
but I also wonder if because it's so dark, people don't tend to walk through at night, like, cause it
Right.
feels a little sketchy.
Feels super creepy.
Yeah, it's not, you'd be better off, I mean, even though it's longer, you're better off walking around Manhattan College Parkway where cars can see you, you
Yeah.
can see them. I agree, yeah.
So what's your thought about lighting?
Well, I mean, if the folks who live there don't want it, and, you know, if there is an alternative, which there is, then, you know, let's not push for it.
Okay. So we would just have the restoration of the Lower Brust Park staircase, restoration of the flagstones, the pavers, the steps, and the handrails, and then that probably makes it cheaper as well. Carol, you okay with that?
I'm fine with that. The students, do they use that a lot at night?
Well, so that's what I wondered, and we talked
Yeah.
about that in previous meetings. I just wonder about their safety from a
Yeah.
safety standpoint.
Yeah.
It's super sketchy. And when you have a college right there, you think about these kids.
Yeah, that's
who
what
are
I'm
walking
wondering,
through,
right?
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
What would be nice, honestly, is if the Parks Department had more lighting options. I think that's part of the issue here is that they really have not, like, there's, I mean, there's like I went to a dark sky park 2 years ago. And it's, it's meant to keep everything dark like that, but that you could totally walk around in it because they had these very low, totally ground-based red spectrum lights so that you could see, but that it didn't cause your eyes to dilate. I mean, there's just ways of, which is just a way of saying there's ways of getting around some of the sensitivity and keeping the habitat. Like, because we'll have the same problem with Van Cortlandt Park with the pathway lighting, is that there are animals in Van Cortlandt Park too. They're just tougher animals, and
There are more of them.
there's more of them. They don't mind. But that I do wish there were more options, because this is the same issue we'll have with Sid Field to some
Right,
degree. You
right.
want it to be sensitive to the environment. We live in
Yeah.
a city.
People across the street, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking of Sid Field, I spoke to the North Riverdale baseball folks, and they're still very much in favor of the lighting. So I was just going to do some sort of this one would not be a restoration. This would be establish
Mhm.
lighting around the play.
Installation, I think
Yeah.
installation is the word we want.
Yep.
Mhm.
So installation
Mhm.
of lighting, ballpark lighting.
Yeah, the ballpark lighting. And wasn't there a term that he used that was a very specific type of ballpark lighting? It wasn't just, do you remember he talked about like how it
Right.
was?
Mhm.
I don't remember.
It wouldn't interfere with
Yeah, and it
the
also just,
residents.
it also just came down on the
Right,
field.
that was the
It
idea.
didn't go out
Mhm.
further, but I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I don't remember the term either, but that's the concept, that, we want it focused on the field and as little spillover from the field as possible.
Sorry.
Yep. I'm just looking at the resolution. Following the best practice standard from the International Dark Sky Association for sports fields, that 85% of lumens fall onto the field of play. That won't scare them. So installation of ballpark lighting,
Mhm.
tightly focused on the field or sensitive to the environment or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or within dark sky guidelines, you feel like they would, or that's gonna put them off.
I think these are not binding to them. This is just what we want.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to just
Right.
to say it. So like, what was the language you used? With following the best practice standards of the International Dark Sky Association.
So, yeah. That's what was in the resolution, let's put it in the budget request too.
Yeah.
Especially because it's residential.
Yeah, Jody.
Since we've talked about lighting twice now, there is current legislation, there's current dark skies legislation that's starting I think it's 2028, that all lighting needs to be that downward facing lighting. So
Yeah.
keep in mind that the intended consequences is we may lose some of the historical park lighting in favor of like DOT style street lighting. Because you know how long it takes them to update. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be an interesting transition for them to do, though. But for the purposes of the ballpark.
Yeah, we're not replacing anything.
Yeah,
we're
they're
starting
already
fresh.
meeting those. They're already meeting those downward requirements. But the like on the step streets, what's in Ewan Park down the stairs, what's in Henry Hudson Park, those are all not shielded lights. Those are those like what are they called? The historical pole lights with the globe on top.
You mean the World's Fair lights, or
is that what it's called? It's got the cast iron pole.
Yeah.
The fluted cast iron pole, and then the big the globe on top that's kind of not round, and then it has the cap on it. So so by the time that this gets to a capital construction, that legislation may be in effect.
Right. Which would be great for this.
I'm in favor of dark skies. I am in favor of dark skies because I did used to see the Milky Way when I was a kid,
Yeah.
but
In New
but
York City?
you know, it's that I grew up on Long Island. Can't you tell? You know,
We're on the
my
guideline.
Long Island accent. But I do remember seeing the Milky Way at night, and you know, and for habitat and things like that. But just
Yeah,
we'll have to start now to start suggesting new designs.
yeah, okay. Okay, that's good to know. And so then the next is the Van Cortlandt Park pathway lighting, which is in a similar vein. The language we've got right now is installation of park style lighting from the parade ground to the golf house parking lot.
Mhm.
What do we mean? I feel like I'm like on a semantics on today. Sorry
Fine.
about that. But what do we mean by park style lighting? Is that specific to, does Van Cortlandt Park have a specific type of lighting that they use?
Christine, do you want to speak to the lighting in Van Cortlandt Park? I mean, I can say that we said park style lighting because we wanted to make sure it wasn't DOT like state like sprawl light, like traffic lighting or parking lot lighting. Christina, is there a specific name or type of lighting along the pathways in Van Cortlandt Park that we should include in our budget priority description?
Yeah, I don't know if it is what you call it, the World's Fair. I know we have World's Fair benches. The lighting,
Right.
I'm not sure what they're called, but yeah, it's the standard what's in the other parks that were mentioned before lighting. And I mean, okay, a few spots we do have more, I guess, tower lights almost, which I don't think is what
Right.
we want. We want the more standard park lighting, and it's easier if they're all the same so that when they do need to replace, they have the supplies.
Right. Right. One bulb that rules them
Yeah.
all.
Right.
Okay. So I think we can just stay with park style lighting for that description.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then the last one, reconstruction of Old Fort Ford Park. So reconstruction of southern end of Old Fort Ford Park, including replacement of the iron fencing and gates, the benches, and reconfiguring green spaces, replacement of playground equipment throughout the park, and basketball court lighting. I know the basketball court lighting was requested by Joelle. I think that was added to this budget priority for fiscal year 27.
Okay.
Do they cherry pick? Can they say we'll do part?
They can do whatever they want.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is advisory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, they're going to come back and say, first of all, if assuming they approve of it, which they generally do, they don't have any money and we have to get
Go
it
to the
from
elected.
the elected official. I mean, 90% of the time, that's the answer.
Mhm.
So.
So then in order for these, so I vote Bailey Playground stays at number 1. Okay.
Mhm.
So number 2 last year was Old Fort Ford Park. And then number 3 last year was Bruss Park staircase. And I think that was mostly because of Old Fort Ford Park just being on the list longer. Being used by a lot of kids. I mean, it's a super busy park. And that it's, both of them are in states of decay in terms of the fencing and stuff around Old Fort Ford, but also the Bruss Park staircases are not good. I would kind of vote to kind of keep that order, but I'm open to changing it if you think there's a different priority.
So putting Old Fort Ford Park second.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any argument with that.
And you wouldn't move either of the new ones in.
The
Sid Field.
Sid Field. I mean, the Sid Field lighting I think is important. But it's also,
It's only one field. Like here, it's a bigger park. I agree with what you have here, but it was just.
yeah. And think about like with generally when we can grade these things, we grade them based on which has the biggest impact.
Yeah, I think Sid Field's just like, there was a lot of going back and forth with it, and we still need to see like the actual lights that are being used.
Well, that'll come in the
Yeah.
design phase.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Sid Field, the lights will enable them to do more, have more help more
Mhm.
kids, so
Mhm.
certainly important. But Old Fort Four Park,
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's saturated in the summer. It's like everybody is there.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think I told you before that, I've seen Sweet 16s and generators
Mhm.
there, and it's really open. But when they first did that park, I mean, years ago, like 40 years ago, it was great. I mean, it had tire swings. The kids would go. I went to the Catholic school there, Our Lady of Angels, and it did its purpose, but it has not been upgraded. It has not been upgraded.
It hasn't been touched.
It's just, and it's a nice space. People want to go. It really does need work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's time.
And it has historic stone walls and
Yeah.
such that are just in poor condition.
But I think it's more heavily used than
Yeah.
Center Garden.
Oh, in the past,
Yeah.
I would say 5 years, I've never seen. I'm always in shock. I'm like, what's going on? But yeah, people are out there, and I hope they'll make it really nice. I see people playing games out there like dominoes and checkers, and which is really nice to see. But when they upgrade it, maybe they'll put like some type of table there too, where people can kind of.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we do Bailey Playground is one, and then Fort Four, and then Bruss Park, and then Sid Field, is that?
I'm not sure. I kind of think that Van Cortlandt also has a very large group of people that are
Yeah.
there. And I think it's a more diverse population. I think it's people who are not, like, when we're talking about the Little League, it's just a certain age group, right? We know that it's a smaller field.
Mm-hmm.
So
You want to put Van Cortlandt
I
ahead
kind
of.
of,
Yeah.
I do.
Mhm.
I do, but I'm not, I could be swayed, but to me,
Right.
I just feel like Van Cortlandt Park is used by so many more people in a different way.
Yeah.
But
We've also had crime here. I think it's probably worth
oh,
calling.
at State Park.
No, at
Van Cortlandt.
at this specific part of Van Cortlandt Park near the
Yeah.
I
near the
agree.
lake is where
Mhm.
people were getting mugged last year, right?
Mhm.
One thing I just want to also raise too while we're talking about this, it occurs to me. So at the beginning of the meeting, Bob was talking about you were talking about the cost of the Bailey Playground redesign. I know that in Old Fort Four Park, one of the things they've been doing is they've been breaking it up into pieces, right? So they
Yeah.
did they did the basketball courts and the backboards, and they did the restroom. So it's kind of started with the restroom, and then they got that
Yeah.
going, and then like 5 years later, they got to the basketball courts, and I wonder if there's a world where we break the playground, the Bailey Playground, into two pieces.
I'm not sure how you would do that.
I mean, if number one you asked for like merging Tibbetts Tail and redesigning the handball courts, just like start at the farthest end of Bailey Playground and then work your way towards the restrooms
The
or
problem with that, Deb, is then it's hard to go back to Bailey Avenue again and ask for more money. When, somebody's going to say, well, we just put money into Bailey Playground last year, So it's hard.
But you think of like Seton Park, though, is the same
Mhm.
example where they did the soccer fields and then they did the skate park, then they added a skate park and then they did the playground and now they're doing they're doing them kind of as individual projects. Like if you said reconstruct Seton Park, that would also be a $20 million project.
But isn't that significantly bigger? Unless I'm not thinking about Bailey Playground as being this, when I went, it didn't seem the same size as Seton Park. Is it the same size?
It's not the same. It's a bit smaller than in Seton Park for
Right.
sure. But I'm just but Fort Four, for example, is smaller than Bailey.
Right.
And Fort Four has been 2 projects already, and there's still,
Oh, wow, so
Mhm.
then that's a,
you know what I mean? Like it seems like that might be a way of making it chewable pieces.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I mean, they did do the
Um,
restroom roof, like
Mhm.
that's a project they just finished.
Mhm.
But I guess I was under the impression when I joined the Parks Committee.
So this has been going for years.
And I was under the impression that part of it was because there were runoff and plumbing issues under the surface that they needed to address before they could do anything around the restroom.
That, to the best of my knowledge, that has been addressed.
Right.
Because, it doesn't flood now the way it did once before. I don't know exactly what they did, whether they put in new pipes or whether they just found the source of the flooding and turned out to be a maintenance issue. But that problem doesn't exist at the same scale that it once did.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not yet persuaded on breaking up Bailey into pieces, and I'm not sure, where. I mean, that's one way to start is, to merge Tibbetts Tail with Bailey and reconstruct the north end of Bailey Playground.
Before you lose that property.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. As it is.
Or is it we break off Tibbetts, right, and say as a separate project,
Yeah,
combine Tibbetts Tail with the Bailey Playground handball courts to make one continuous
yeah,
play green area, and that's just separate, 'cause that's also not included in the current budget stuff anyway. The current cost estimate doesn't include combining it with Tibbetts.
yeah.
I just worry that Tibbetts Tail is gonna end up on a parks list of available green spaces for housing.
And
That would be a
Deb,
shame.
Yeah,
and I'm
Jody.
worried that Tibbetts Tail is gonna get concreted over. That it's going to
Yeah, I
become
wanna-
recreation and not, so maybe part of it is to create, maybe part of it is to break Tibbetts Tail off and be more specific, because either you're gonna say expand Bailey Playground to make it bigger with hardscape for more people to use it, or say do something with Tibbetts Tail that's like a natural area with wooded trails and seating areas to keep more trees or whatever, because like you have to decide what you want for Tibbetts Tail. Do you want to keep the trees and the greenery, or do you want to expand Bailey Playground physically so there's more recreational opportunities, active things? And
I think
maybe that's kind of, I'm sorry?
I think that what the committee's, I think what the committee has wanted kind of all along is for Bailey to be more green, because it's got far too much asphalt and concrete now. And then for Tibbetts Tail to be integrated in a way that preserves the trees, like we don't want any trees getting not cut down, preserves the greenery, but that it's also usable, and it's a good usable green space with paths and benches and places to sit and stuff, but it's integrated with Bailey.
So maybe you could, if you don't separate it out, maybe you could say integrate Bailey by preserving the green space and adding nature trails and seating areas, by being specific about what you want. By being more specific.
What it says right now is incorporate adjacent Tibbetts Tail area into an expanded Bailey Playground, reduce asphalt, and add green space.
I think that's about as much as you can put in a budget request.
Yeah.
You can't get deep into, we can all think of ways in which Tibbetts Tail can be improved with a trail, seating areas, Jody said.
Right.
Better maintenance of it, a better care of it. But that's a question that we would deal with in the design phase.
Right.
Once we actually got the money. But while that's needed, the Bailey Avenue Playground also has to be reconfigured, because it's, as you said, it's the big empty space. There are more benches in there than any other park outside of Van Cortlandt.
Right.
And there's just a whole lot of wasted space in there.
Yeah.
It needs more basketball courts. The playground could be bigger. There's a whole lot that could be done with it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's my concern. There's a whole lot that could be done of it. And since you're using the word expand and then adding Tibbetts Tail, that's my concern, that it will be expanded into there. And, you could put impermeable pavers and say it's not asphalt.
Yeah, I think that's all part of the design phase though, right? Is that they would go in there, they would measure the trees. There's some substantial, beautiful trees in there. And then they would probably do something similar to what they did in Fort Independence, right? Where they create these kind of circular play areas in different spots and throughout the all of Bailey Playground, but that it would have flow to it. And you would hope that they would do something a little bit like they originally did with Fort Four, where there's like a greener area where where it's more green and more benches, and then a part of it is more playground. But I feel like that's all in the actual design part of it, you know?
We could say something like maintaining the green space in Tibbetts Tail, some phrase like that. To, make it clear. I mean, Jody raises an interesting point. And I think if we said something about maintaining Tibbetts Tail or improving it, well, improving is the wrong word. Is that's too open to interpretation.
Yeah.
You could say
but maintaining
natural
the
area.
Natural area.
Yeah, natural area has specific meaning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Like
the phrase.
Henry Hudson Park has a natural area. It's the wooded border that isn't landscape.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a matter of wording. I think we can get that
So,
right.
like maintain natural areas.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So then, we were discussing, so Carol, what's your thought about, Van Cortlandt, thank you, Jody, about Van Cortlandt lighting being fourth ahead of Sid Field?
Yeah, I agree with that. Because it's used like all the time.
Mhm.
And it is a safety concern.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know if Sidfield has had any crime over there, but
Right.
yeah.
No. All right,
And so what's,
So
so
then
then read the sequence?
so then the order would be Bailey Playground would be number 1.
Mhm.
Old Fort 4 would be number 2.
Mhm.
Rust Park staircase would be number 3.
Mhm.
Van Cortlandt Park pathway lighting would be number 4. And then installation of ballpark lighting or Sid Field would be number 5.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Why? I know that Russ Park has been on for a while, but I don't know what their traffic, like how many people actually walk through there. Would you switch that with Van Cortlandt Park, or would you leave it where it is?
I think from my point of view, the thing with Rust Park staircase is that it's really deteriorated.
No, I agree.
It's as
with you.
bad
I
as
just-
UN Parkside. Like,
Yeah.
because it's kind of dangerous.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
if, in terms of just physically falling.
Right.
Like I would lean towards keeping Rust Park ahead of the lights for Van Cortlandt Park.
Okay.
Just because lighting also tends to be more of a fall problem. And then not so much like in the summer, there's generally sunlight until
Okay.
the park is closed. That it's really in the fall and then when there's events.
Okay. That
Mhm.
that makes sense to me.
Um,
And the staircase is here because the playground is up above the upper Brush Park. And, the green area is down below. And there are houses, there are apartment buildings down below, whereas up above, there's the Fieldston School.
and the parking
And
lot.
then you're in, Fieldston itself. So most of the population is down below. So if you want to get up to the playground, don't use that staircase. It's the shortest way, most direct way to get there.
When was that playground last redone?
It was done, it's a small playground. It's really for,
It's like a
it's really
tot
more of a
lot.
tot lot,
Yeah.
tot playground, yeah. It doesn't have basketball courts or anything, it's very small.
Yeah.
It's mostly swings. No, it does have swings. I'm pretty sure it has swings. I'm relying on memory, which is always dangerous. I do believe it has swings. But it has play equipment, it's really like a tot lot, 2 to 5, that kind of thing.
Because the other thing too, just to point, I mean, I know we just put these in order. The Marble Hill. So I went over and looked at Marble Hill just to look at the lighting. And that Marble Hill playground, what I realized was that the playground equipment has also not been replaced in a really long time there either. Like it's not just about the lighting. That's another playground that is quite old and very heavily used. Like at least when I was walking over there, there were kids everywhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, the NYCHA houses are right there,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, it's they only have like a climbing frame, and then down the block, there's that other one on the other side of Fieldston. I can't remember the name of it, but there's like the little one that's down the block. Like on Greystone, maybe, is that Greystone?
Yeah, up at the top is Greystone, if you're talking about, Brush Park. Yeah, the street up at the top is Greystone.
Right, so if you're at the park and you walk
Is it Dash Place that divides the two of them?
towards,
Or
No,
is that Greystone?
no, that place is farther to the south.
Dash Place is along the
About
bottom edge.
McLaughlin Park.
yes, I am, that's right,
Oh, McLaughlin Park, yeah.
Oh, okay.
that's what I'm thinking of, and they have swings,
Yes, yes, they do.
yeah.
That's another one that has not been renovated in a really long time.
There's really not much to it, it's a small park and that's really all and I think there's some little like play equipment for
Mhm.
really small kids.
Yeah, and they may have water, it says here spray shower.
Oh, there is, yeah.
See, I remembered, I remembered.
Yeah, well, I only knew about the McLaughlin Playground from the list. I was like, this is, I think, the only one I've never visited is the McLaughlin Playground.
Mhm.
That's the one on Greystone, right?
Yeah, on Greystone, just north of 238th Street.
Right. All right, so expense items. So we've got swimming lessons for children's teens, supporting swimming lessons for children at community pools by providing instructors and lifeguards to community partners and include in swimming lesson lottery. Any changes we wanna make to that?
What is the swimming lesson lottery?
Well, they have a lottery in the summer for swimming lessons. That's how the
Okay.
Parks Department, because there's not enough places for everybody who wants to swim. So you sign up for the lottery and then you have the lottery and then, so the idea was to try to expand the available pools to, by funding more lifeguards in wherever they can get pools. Like if they can get nonprofit partners with pools to also be part of this lottery, then there would be just more places for the kids to go learn how to swim.
Didn't I read or hear that they were going to expand the swimming lessons? That there was money for it?
They put a bunch of money last year into swimming.
Okay,
But I think that was just to kind of get it going at all because
okay,
there were so few slots the year before. I mean,
Okay.
Christina might be able to speak to it because I know that I think there was swimming lessons at Van Cortlandt Pool last year and that's happening again this year, right, Christina?
That's my understanding. It really does depend on how many lifeguards they're able to hire, though.
Right.
There's funding for lifeguards, but whether or not they can get lifeguards is another story.
So Christina, would you say that the problem of having enough slot isn't about money, it's about lifeguards?
It's a combination. So yeah, that was one of Iris's big things that she did as first deputy commissioner is really improve it for lifeguards, the situation, so that they now are able to hire more. But yeah, so definitely they need more funding either way for the lifeguards, but they kind of go hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
right.
Yeah, because it seems like we've gotten ourselves into a negative cycle of not enough kids know how to swim, and so then you don't have enough lifeguards to
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
lessons.
So one thing, if you wanted to advocate for funding for that, does Councilwoman Farina Sanchez do part of Community Board 8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was at the parks hearing on Monday and she brought up that she doesn't know how to swim. And
Right.
because she doesn't know how to swim, she really wants kids to learn how to swim. She doesn't want them growing up not being able to swim. So definitely somebody that we could work with to try to get funding for that.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, because I was at a event down the part of the Theory 9 Washington's Walk Coalition event where they raised somebody had a flyer trying to encourage folks to try out to be lifeguards, and one of the kids, like she must have been like 16 or 15 or 16, she raised her hand and was like, "Can you be a lifeguard if you don't know how to swim?" and she was kind of being serious about it because she was like she just had never learned how to swim and felt like she never had an opportunity to learn how to swim, and so she was kind of like, can I go from where I am to there in any kind of amount of time, which is it was like really raised the question. I think how are you supposed to learn to swim?
I wish it was part of the curriculum in school.
I don't
Some
understand.
countries have that where you have to learn how to swim. That's part of
know.
like
you have a gym.
yeah.
You have to have a pool.
Yeah.
And there are very few, I don't know how many, but there aren't many schools that have pools.
Well, DeWitt Clinton has a pool.
There's hidden pools. I remember my high school, I went to St. Barnabas, never knew they had a pool. So my last year, they were like, oh yeah, it's all the way upstairs. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
believe Kennedy does.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Kennedy has.
Okay. Walton has a
One
pool.
thing
Yeah.
to think about with the summer swim is that when I've looked at it in the past, it's not really accessible for kids who have a camp that they go to for any part of the summer, because at least when I looked in the past, it's like 10 a.m. over a course of 6 weeks. So even families who have kids who are home who want to do the swim, like if you did 2 weeks where it was every day, you'd probably get a lot more kids. But for kids who go to camp for any part of the summer, they're kind of wasting the lessons by having it. I don't know anyone whose kids are really home free all summer through the day. So I know like my son really wants to take more swim lessons, but he's not in camp every week, but for us to schedule it to be 6 weeks of the summer that he's home at 11 a.m. to go down to Van Cortlandt, I'm curious if there's a reason for that schedule, or like if you really did like 2 weeks in a row every day and that was the swim lessons, that would probably make it easier for a lot of kids to go.
Yeah, I don't know why it's spread out the way it is at all.
Mhm. Well, it's a question worth asking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they even have free camps that are run through the DOE or related to the DOE. So even families that maybe wouldn't have money for like a private summer camp are enrolling their kids in those programs. So they also probably are not taking advantage just because of that timing. The last 2 weeks of August, people are looking for anything to do with their kids because almost all of the camps are closed. So you could probably thoroughly book that um, as like a hot time. But I think in general, any 2 weeks of the summer, people could at least, when people who pay for day camp by the week could open up a couple weeks to do it if they knew it was coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, it's very hard if you have more than one child. The rules seem to be very they don't accommodate kind of enrolling two kids together and having them be in the lottery together so that they can both go together at the same time, so that you could end up having one child who got it through on one lottery or one child who got it on the other, or neither or both. The coordination is really hard.
No, these are all good issues, but I guess the question comes down to now is where do we put this on our requests?
Yeah, so let's cover our other ones. Here we have our Parks Enforcement Command in Van Cortlandt Park. Create a new Parks Enforcement Patrol Command and station in Van Cortlandt Park sufficient to properly enforce DPR regulations so that public safety and order is maintained, and to enable regular and consistent patrolling of Van Cortlandt Park and other community districts 7, 8, and 12 parks. Any changes to this text?
The problem, and I'm glad Christine is on tonight. The Parks Department has been very clear that they have no intention of doing this. I mean, we can keep asking for it. But they've done everything in their power to tell us there's just no way this is going to happen. And I think the question is, do we want to keep pushing for it? Or is it a futile effort? I don't know.
I feel like the budget priorities should be about what you think you need.
Yes.
And then to our point before with the capital, they're gonna do they're gonna modify it however they want. So it's like if the Parks Department just takes this and says, okay, we'll station, instead of having a command, we'll put 3 PEP folks in the ranger's office. That's kind of a win too. But
Can we get Christina's opinion on this one?
I think so, if she feels like she can speak freely. Christina, what is your take on the command in Van Cortlandt Park?
I think it's a fantastic idea and it's definitely needed. I mean, Parks is very unlikely to do it, but I do agree with you that, if you ask for that, maybe they'll find middle ground, even if it's, just sending patrols to our park more often, having or to our park and, the entire district more often would be super helpful because, yeah, there's often times where I call Pep and, they're in Pelham Bay Park. So by the time they get to Van Cortlandt, whatever issue I had is,
It's gone.
gone or has evolved to something too extreme for them. So,
Right.
we definitely have had a lot of issues over the last couple of years, unfortunately, where it would be really helpful to have them. I mean, we do have the mounted PEP, and their argument partly is that we have mounted PEP, so we're covered, but those horses can't go everywhere and they can't get places fast either.
Right. I mean, honestly, I also think the mounted PEP, they should invest a bit more in the mounted PEP. I know that they also don't, I mean, Commissioner Ponte, I don't think supports that. But I think the mounted PEP is actually a really great way of kind of humanizing PEP and makes them much more approachable. And then if you've got kids who see adults with a job that involves riding a horse, that's a recruiting tool, and it kind of opens up some doors that you don't get necessarily. But
Well, I think the issue there is the stable and how much room there is, because those horses are, I don't know what the proper term is, those horses live in the stable.
yeah,
And it's a requirement, as you know, of the concession
right.
that they have to have two of the horses.
I think it's like up to 4 horses or something.
Well, whatever it is,
Yeah,
yeah, there's a limitation. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it would be wonderful, but the point here is that Christina says, yes, we should continue.
She says we can
Right.
still continue to do it. Thank you for supporting our tilting of windmills.
No problem.
But
Bill.
because I also think that I know Jody's having trouble with vandalism, right? Where folks are doing voluntary pruning on stuff.
Right.
And like if you have parks closer, or if you have PEP closer to this side, then they could actually spread out.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
I mean, we're
I
lucky
will-
around the reservoir. We see the PEP on the patrol on the horses, because they do take the horses around the reservoir. So we actually do get that additional coverage.
Mhm.
But if you're
And
at
they
Bailey
do
or
come. They come down to
Yeah.
Henry Hudson and Seton Park too, the horses.
they are,
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah,
the horses
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Okay,
But I think, although I am in favor of more PEP because, it's like the next day by the time they respond.
yeah.
I thought, do you have the community board register, the responses in front of you? I thought I read
Yeah.
something that they wrote their justification as to why they don't need to
justification-
do this. And I thought it
Yeah,
implied
it's what
that,
Bob just described of like, you've got horses, so shut up. Eventually, basically.
so my question is if they have that justification, you're not going to get that. They're done with it. They're just going to keep saying no. So maybe there's a way to rewrite this without saying a command post, but saying, I also know that with the PEP officers, there's a big turnover because the salaries are crap,
Right. I mean, there's a lot going on. The
That's a
agency
permanent problem.
The agency responses, agency does not support and cannot accommodate. Explanation, we currently have a PEP mounted command at Van Cortlandt. We also just submitted a new needs request for Day Spring Park. We currently do not have the capacity to set up a command at Van Cortlandt. So I'm not quite sure why the new needs request for Day Spring Park has anything to do.
Yeah.
It would seem actually to say, yes, you actually do need more PEP and a command in Van Cortlandt Park, so that the Day Spring PEP have someplace to go.
Yeah.
I think
That's
they're
what
saying
saying.
that any extra expense money is going to go to the new park. And this is the ongoing issue, right? They slash the parks budget every year and they're asking parks to do more and more.
Right, exactly.
Wait, but
And more land.
Deb, what was the language they used? Maybe you could use that language.
Well, their language is, we have just submitted a new needs request for Day Spring Park. We currently do not have the capacity to set up at Van Cortlandt. So in their explanation, they are not saying they are opposed to it.
Mhm.
They're saying we don't have enough money.
Right.
We have this other park we need to take care of, and you guys have horses.
Mhm.
So I know
What
The other part doesn't exist yet, but
the other park doesn't
Right.
exist. There's only 2 horses, and
Right.
but
But what's a
so-
needs request? Like, is there a way for us to trigger that?
It's
Like, is
something
there a way
they
for
do
us
it.
to ask that they,
this is,
like, is
Yeah,
there a
they-
way
Well, the
for us
need-
to ask that they do a needs request so that there can be more patrols, whether there's a command station or not?
Well, this is our needs request. It's our, it's our budget priorities. And then the Parks Department decides how to interpret it and, what they can support and what they can.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I'm just wondering if taking the command station out, but keeping the request to have more PEP officers to fully patrol. Because if you look at the Vital Parks tracker, you'll see that some parks have less PEP patrol than other parks.
Yeah. I think that it goes back to the asking for what you want and what you would ideal is. I think the thing about the command that why I argue for it is that the problem partly is a lack of PEP, but really it's the fact that they're stationed over in Pelham Bay Park. They're stationed so far away that even if you had twice as many PEP officers, they're still stationed on the other side of the Bronx, and it's not so easy to get back and forth. And so there's still this logistics issue. And so I they're never I don't need them to, I'm not in charge of them. So I feel like we can speak freely to say the problem is twofold. One is a lack of people, but also a lack of facilities to support them changing clothes and clocking in and out without losing the last hour of their shift every day.
You know what we might do is use that Dayspring, because of course that's the Putnam extension from the park down to 230th Street.
Right. Oh, you need to support
exactly to support it, because it's integrated into the park. It's the southern end of the park. So say would be not only for the PEP officers for the park, but for the new Dayspring park.
Okay, so that the public safety and order is maintained, and to enable regular and consistent patrolling of Van Cortlandt Park,
Dayspring Park,
and the new and Dayspring Park,
right? And the
and other community districts 7, 8, 12 parks.
Yeah.
Okay. See how that goes.
Yeah. I mean, what have we got to lose?
Right, exactly.
We're getting turned out now, so. Right.
All right, so next one. So the next one is the Bruckner box. So Jody, the question about this Bruckner box, so the description is connect the Bruckner box connection to the upper Henry Hudson Park to the main sewer and install an RPZ to complete the water connection. This just feels to me like a state of good repair project, and I resent it taking up a spot on our expense budget. I guess that's what I felt as I was examining my feelings last night as I went to bed. How do I get this onto do you disagree, Jody, that this is a state of good repair project?
My understanding was that it crossed the threshold because they've got to open up the street, and Parks doesn't normally do those things. So that was my understanding. The Parks doesn't normally open up a street and dig in and excavate.
My understanding from Joe, though, was that DEP was going to have to do the work, and so DEP opens up the street all the time.
No, DEP. So Effie said on numerous community board meetings that if Parks fixed the connection to the street, DEP would dig up the valve and open it at the street level. DEP people also personally told Joe when they came out to inspect, and now that Effie is saying no one ever said that, and if anyone ever did, they were incorrect, that we don't do that for anybody. You have to open the street, and then we just send the person to turn the valve on. So that's why it got stuck, because the DEP person, when Joe requested it, he was told DEP never does that. So I've been working on this for 4 years now.
Yeah, no, at least.
And we've lost a lot of shrubs from vandalism,
right.
People letting their dogs jump in, and people are like, I just had horticulture and saying like, hey, we could give you new this, new that. And I'm like, I'm not hauling water from the top of the monument all the way down to Capoc Street in my shopping cart, you know? So I don't know what to do. I'm very, as you can tell, I'm frustrated because I've tried everything, you know, and you put it in the expense request, and that allowed Parks to come out and fix it as their state of good repair. But I don't know what to do now. Like, how do we get this fixed?
It's a good question. If the DEP is saying they're not going to open up the street.
Right, because Parks is saying they don't do that too.
Right, they
That's
don't
what
do
Joe was
that.
saying, yeah.
Welcome to my world in Spite and Dival.
So is it fair to say that Upper Henry Hudson Park has infrastructure for water connections, but for water hose connections in the park, but no actual place, no water is run into those connections?
Yeah, so it has an operational Bruckner valve that is connected to the sewer. Like all that really needs to be
Right.
done is all in quotes. The road needs to be opened up and the valve that was shut needs to be turned on. I don't know how DEP turns water valves on, but my understanding is they're the ones that shut it off. And I
Yeah.
know that Parks didn't open the street to shut it off.
Right.
So my sort of, and I brought this up at, you know, I bounced back before DEP and Parks for years about this. So what I feel is not what's going to happen. I feel like DEP shut the valve. They should reopen it because they shut it because the
Right.
pipe was broken. The pipe is no longer broken. So they should reverse what they did. But Effie is saying, no, never happened. If anyone said that, they're wrong. We're not doing it. So, I mean, I'm happy to escalate it be past the community board, past the
Yeah.
parks manager.
So is this
If-
something where we need to do something crazy like a resolution?
Well, I think first thing we have to do is talk to Daniel Rowan and the ENS committee.
I talked to Daniel about it a little bit because it was like, but the thing that gets me is that it's wasting a spot on his budget priority or our budget priority when really, to Jody's point, this is about a lack of alignment between two agencies, not about a need that's unknown to either agency.
Right.
We're not raising some sort of community thing. We're saying, by saying your thing is broken and
We're not asking for anything new.
no.
Yeah.
But I don't know what things cost. Deb, I don't know what things cost. So if this costs more than $35,000, which I think is the threshold now, then it needs to be there or no one's going to pay attention to it. And I don't think it's wasting a spot because, like Henry Hudson Park is heavily used. And
no. I think that Henry Hudson Park should have water, but I think that Henry Hudson Park already does have water. And that's where that's why it feels like it's wasting. But it's a little like it reminds me a little bit of like the Capoc and Palisade fight, right? There was a lot of money spent reconfiguring that corner over and over and over again. That is probably much more than would cost to dig up the street and fix this valve. That was never a budget priority. That was just making some noise with a resolution and going to the commissioner and saying, listen, this is ridiculous. We're sick of this back and forth.
Yeah.
I feel like between
yeah.
Aponte, between Aponte and Aponte's office and whoever is the commissioner or DEP, they just need to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm tired because we put it on the budget priorities 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's still not to get more attention, and that's not working. Yeah.
Well, no, it did work because the Bruckner box itself got fixed and the pipe to the street got fixed. So it did work. But maybe if you think of you know, I of course waited 20 plus years for the ponds projects at Shorefront Park, so I can wait a few more years. But if you think taking it off to move something up more likely to that spot and doing a resolution that you'll escalate it to to Commissioner Aponte, I'm good with that. I just want some motion on this so that I'm a little frustrated because I just went back and forth with DOT. You know, I'm going back and forth with DOT about the unmapped part of the street that needs to be fixed, but it's actually inside the fence of Shorefront Park. And they're like, oh, it's Parks. And Parks is like, no, it's DOT. And I'm like, the water's eroding the trails.
Right.
So if you think a resolution and you're willing to escalate it, that would be great. And then I would send an email to Chief of Staff Alberto, you know, to bring this up to him, how frustrated I am, and then getting an official letter from the community board may do it. I don't know.
Right. It's at least it elevates it. I mean, Mom, what do you think about a resolution versus we could also do a letter?
Yeah.
Right. Do a letter. I mean, I would want to talk to Farrah because I know she's been bringing this up in her district service cabinet meeting, but
yeah, why don't we start there? We can always do a resolution, you know, why don't we start with the letter and see what the official response to it is.
Right, and then if we want to get outraged, then we have room to get outraged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense,
So
Jody? We'll start with a letter.
Wait, before you take it off, what would replace it? Because part of it is all the things that you have been talking about are west of highway. And you know, I know people get all about, oh, heavy users and environmental justice and everything, but that doesn't mean that the parks on this side of the highway should get less services when something's broken, you know? So what would you bump up there?
Well, so let's finish going through the list then.
Right. Yeah.
But I still think we should write a letter because I'm sick and tired of even thinking about this Bruckner box. It should be fixed.
Yeah.
I'm happy for a letter no matter what you decide, whether to leave it on or take it off. A letter would be amazing. That would escalate it one more thing. A letter to the commissioner, to DEP and to both commissioners, right? DEP and
both commissioners.
Yeah.
That would be great. That would be great. Thank you very much. I I don't even ask you for those things, you know.
Well, you know, we want to give the agencies time to work it through, but I think that we've gotten to a point where now we've reached a point of absurdity.
Yeah.
Where it's just stuck for no reason. So
it's stuck because neither agency wants to go
dig
to
up
trouble of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So then to go back to what's on our budget priorities for a second. So what we've got a replacement Gator type utility vehicle for landscape management, maintenance and operations staff within Van Cortlandt Park. This is the replace 3 existing Gator type vehicles due to age and maintenance. I think this was one where they said this is not a.
I think they said something about they do this on a regular basis. They have a schedule for it.
They're not capital eligible, but it was on the expense budget.
Right.
They require additional funding request. Which is what I thought this was. So that's what. So that one was we support this, but we don't have the funds. And then they tried to say it was on the wrong list, but I think it was just the wrong pull down. Oh, wait, it says, support but can't accommodate. And then the last one was crushed stones and boulders to enable repair of tracks, walkways and dog runs. One thing I wanted to raise that occurred to me over the weekend. So I was walking over in Van Cortlandt Park at 6:15, and I know the time because the classic playground was locked. And I checked, and it actually closes at 9, the playground, and it was locked early. And I was asking Stephanie about like why this was, and it's what we would expect. There's not enough staff to come back later to lock the gates. And I know we have this problem at Fort Independence Park too on occasion, where the gates, the basketball court's not unlocked, or the restroom's not unlocked or locked because they don't have enough staff to go and lock everything up. And so it occurred to me that should maybe be also a priority, like that when we're talking about budget priorities, just money adequate for the staffing of Park District and Van Cortlandt Park staff for locking and unlocking of playgrounds, opening restrooms, just general, just having enough staff to be able, like, that seems like an expense item to me. But what do you think about that?
I think we'd have to specify what the problem, I mean, if, you know, not gonna hire somebody just to lock the gates and playgrounds and so on. So we'd have to, I think we'd have to specify what the needs are.
Right.
And that's one of them.
The community needs
Restrooms, whether they're, you know, the only restroom I ever use is in Van Cortlandt Park, and it's always open at 7 AM and I don't know when it closes. You know, that one seems to be proper, but that's one park. You know, I think we have to make a case that you know, maybe Christina can help with that. We'd have to, you know, but again, maybe the problem's not in Van Cortlandt, maybe it's elsewhere. But I think we have to make a case for what is not being done that should be done if there were a little more staff.
What do you think that case would look like? Like, you mean like in the priority itself, or?
Well, we'd specify what's, you know, what's missing now because of the lack of staff. Like the fact that, you know, and depending on the time of year, it's not a big deal to close the playground at 6 o'clock, you know, in the winter, when it's dark. It's a totally different issue when you get to the summer and it's light out until 9 o'clock at night.
Right, or even in the spring, I mean, it's six
Well, even in
it's six
spring,
o'clock, I was like,
yes.
well, this is the adult fitness areas over
Yeah.
here, like, this is when people would be
Yeah.
using it,
Yeah,
and they can't get to it because it's all locked.
yeah. But, you know, things like that, like restrooms, not being maintained or not being opened or closed or whatever.
Yeah,
But, you know, I think what I'm saying is I think you have to give some specific reasons why the current staff is inadequate.
so how would you phrase it, like, what would that?
Well, it would say staff sufficient to open and close.
To ensure that
at the proper time, playgrounds at the proper time, etc. But I think we need some more specifics to
So-
do that.
So like,
And-
yeah,
And, well, go ahead, Christine.
yeah, go Chris, yeah.
So I think one of the issues is second shift, right? So a lot of parks, including Van Cortlandt, we get second shift seasonally, and that the seasonal employees haven't started yet. So maybe the argument is that the second shift season needs to be longer. Like instead of them starting mid-May, maybe they start mid-March. You know, if we have nice days in March and it's, you know, March with daylight savings at 6 o'clock, it's bright enough to go to a playground if it's nice out. But, you know, if we only have one shift working in the park, they're all done, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock.
So, Christina, would it be fair to say though that in the winter, like if you had a second shift, they would have enough to do? Like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always stuff to do for sure. And like the winter we had this year, definitely with the amount of shoveling that needed to
Yeah,
get
they
done.
could
for
shovel
sure,
snow so I don't have to.
right?
Right, I mean, like, wouldn't it be fair to say that what we want is what we'd like is a second shift? A
Well-
year-round second shifts to manage, you know, to maintain, to lock and unlock things in a timely manner, to, for shoveling, for salting, for, you know, park requests.
Yep.
Is this the seasonal workers you're talking about, Christina? I know they're in Van Cortlandt. Are they in the local parks as well?
Yeah, all the parks, I believe, my understanding, is all
yeah,
parks
they-
get seasonal staff.
They start in like May, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, end of May, and then they end in September, right? September or October?
Yeah, every year it's a little different depending on how much funding they get, but it's about that. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're really talking about here is extending the time frame for the second shift workers.
hmm
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
so that, I mean, because it sounds like what is happening is that the Parks Department staff arrives early enough so they can make the parks presentable for people walking through them or using them in the morning for running or whatever. But then that means that those same people leave early and that there's nobody there for the second part of the
Yeah.
day when people are done with work.
Right.
And want to come and do the exact same activities they want to do in the morning, it's just they
Yeah.
can't do them.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. So, I mean, it sounds like what we're talking about is extending the time frame for the seasonal workers. So they're, you know, they're there for a larger part of the year.
I mean, ideally, it would be just hiring more permanent year-round staff.
The year-round staff, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Back
do you
to
really
that
want to
seasonal
go for the
response.
dream? Because
Well,
part
why
of
don't we
the
ask for
challenge is too,
both?
when we get the seasonal staff, there's that, point of when you need to train. And also you have to think about the quality of staff that you're getting when it's only a seasonal position versus a year-round position.
Yeah, I mean, the seasonal staff, it's tough because
Yeah.
they mow down our plantings every year.
Mhm.
Because they need to be trained and it's
Yeah,
hard.
we have that issue too.
You
Okay.
too.
So it's sufficient funding for a year-round second shift? Something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, what about
Yeah.
maybe like what's it called? Couch your bets. Maybe say extend seasonal second shift into full-time second shift. Right? So maybe you'll get a March seasonal second shift instead of a full-time, but you could ask for both, sort of.
So it's extend
Seasonal second shift,
the
right?
seasonal second shift
Yeah.
positions
Mhm.
to full-time to year-round positions to enable the regular locking and unlocking playgrounds, restrooms, and other facilities,
Mhm.
other park amenities,
General maintenance, something.
and general maintenance
Mhm.
and snow removal.
Yeah, Deb, no, that's actually good, because now that I'm thinking of it, is once that seasonal shift ends, the ball courts and the playgrounds don't get cleared as frequently of all the fall leaves.
Right.
Right? So extending that seasonal shift in either direction would continue to have them at the same level as when they have seasonal people. In the fall, it's all the clearing the leaves. In the winter, it's clearing snow. In the other days, it's locking and unlocking. And my other thing is the playground's open till 9. I thought most playgrounds close at 6 or 7. I thought that was park regulations.
I was just going off the sign.
Huh.
The sign said 9. I think some of them go to 10. Depending, some of them match the park. Like Fort Independence Playground matches the park, which I think is 10.
It says dusk. Oh no.
On Fort Independence?
Just some of the parks I've seen where it closes at dusk.
Really?
Yeah.
No, the close at dusk thing is usually for parks that don't have gates. Like Ewan Park closes at dusk, so that if there's any nonsense at night, people can just be evicted. We had that changed in like 20, 30 years ago, because they couldn't kick rowdy kids out of the park because the park was open. Some parks are open till 1 a.m. Actually, some parks are open till 10 p.m. But regardless of the park hours, the playgrounds are closed at 7. at 6 or 7.
I think
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I'm not sure about that. Yeah.
We'll find out.
That's all right, we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
So I wanted to propose putting this, like to maybe drop the crushed stones and boulders, which only has kind of lukewarm support. And instead put the, not necessarily fifth position, but just as in terms of our fifth, having a fifth one, the year-round positions for park staff.
I think that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. All right, so then order. Number one last year was the command station. Number two last year was swimming. Number three was our gator type vehicles. I think David Gelman requested that they were gator type. Makes you laugh. I wanna take I just wanna take the Bruckner one and set it aside for the moment. And then, and then crushed stones was number 5 last year. So what's number 1 this year? Do we want to go? I mean, I feel like the second position for the Parks Department would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I kind of lean towards it.
I was just thinking the same
It's
thing,
kind of
and maybe
foundational.
that's the most important issue.
Yeah.
The problem is, I know exactly what's going to happen. The Parks Department's going to come back and say, well, our budget was cut this year by whatever percent it was. You know, we can't accommodate this without more funding.
Yeah, they say that for
But they say
everything.
that's everything, exactly. So
But I feel like this makes it a little bit more visible of like,
I agree, and it is needed. It's definitely needed. So yeah, I wouldn't have any problem putting it number 1.
okay. So then number 2, is that the patrol? Or is that swimming lessons? Those would I'd go
I think swimming lessons.
swimming lessons, like kind of like the
Yeah.
order we got it now, so
I'm okay. with
swimming
that.
lessons 2
Yeah.
and then the patrol 3, so it's
Yeah.
still in our top
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Carol, how's
Yeah.
that kosher with you? Okay. So then that would leave Gator type vehicles
Mhm.
and the Bruckner box. So we could do Gator type vehicles for 4 and the Bruckner box for 5 if we need it.
Mhm.
And then otherwise we're creating some space for other committees that are more expense driven than we are. Unless and Christina, is there some big expense thing that we're overlooking?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
Yeah, the Gators stuff. Yep.
We can bring our crushed stones back if we really wanted to. Okay,
I think that's good.
okay, so I'll clean this up and then I'll send it back out.
Sounds good.
And then this is our March meeting, so we'll vote in April. Is that right?
Mhm.
When?
April, yeah. We almost ate it.
When's it due? I'm sorry.
Wait a minute, yeah, I was just thinking that because Sebastian asked for a specific time, and I think our April meeting might come
After
after
it,
the time, you know, just email Sebastian and ask him.
but then it would be too late to vote on it.
Yeah.
Do we feel comfortable voting on this order? Alright.
So can we vote on like via email?
No,
Oh, I didn't know how that worked.
I don't think so.
No, we have to go to the meeting in
In
public.
person.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's being public.
I mean, is there anybody that objects to I know the order is not the most controversial part, we just need to tweak up some language.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, yeah,
so I'll put them both together. So is, well, I gotta get my vote sheet. So is there, I don't need a resolution, we're just voting to.
no, we're just, yeah.
Yeah, there's, anybody opposed to this, this order and this budget priority?
I don't think so.
So in favor, voting on fiscal year 28 budget priorities. Okay. And then today is the 25th. All right. Any old business? So Seton Park Dog Run, the group seems to be forming, which is nice.
That's good.
They're gonna, currently Partnership for Parks is working with the Parks Department to get them some mulch and to get some repairs. And so they may be organizing kind of a event to spread mulch around. So that's what the Partnership for Parks is working with them on trying to organize something. Also the board office made a poster to encourage folks if they're interested in being part of the group to commute to let us know, and then we'll pass on the information to the group.
Mhm.
Uh,
That's well, somebody should have a poster up at the dog run.
yeah,
That's where it's really.
I think that's where Artie was gonna put it.
Okay,
Yeah,
good, good.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah, I just
not
signed
sure.
off. Oh yeah, Rachel.
Oh, sorry. I'm not sure where it fits in. I had requested a while ago for a budget to fill the sandbox at Paul's Park, and I was just wondering if
so
that.
wait, I'm gonna stop you right now. New business. Now
Okay.
go.
Okay, so a while ago I had put in for the budget to include, and I think it was 2026 to really refill the sandbox at Paul's Park, and I think it had been
Yeah.
approved. It just has a dusting right now, and it doesn't. And when you call 311, they offer you 1 cubic yard, which won't make a difference. So
Yeah.
the request was to really get like a dump truck to fill that up. It's one of the only sandboxes left in the Bronx, I believe.
In the city. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's three. There's three left.
Well, right, there's very few.
Would you like me to address this? Because I am very I have worked very hard on this. The problem
Yes,
is
Jody, would you like to
that-
speak to the Paul's Playground
Thank you,
sandbox?
Chair Travis. Sorry. So I spent one entire year of sweeping up the sand that's thrown out of the sandbox. When the sand is out of the sandbox, Parks gets violations for cleanliness. So the parents do not believe that the children should be restricted from throwing sand out of the sandbox. It's all over the place. It's in the water fountain. It clogs the drain for the sprinkler. And Joe had wanted to totally empty it and use it for toy storage. Well, he actually wanted to concrete it over to get rid of it. And I said, okay, maybe you could do toy storage until we figure it out. He was willing to provide sand, but it had to be conditional on the park being kept clean by the people who use it. I put 2 brooms and 2 dustpans in there, went in, and they were thrown over the fence. People stole them. There are parents who are as vocal as you are, Rachel, that they want that sandbox removed. They claim that cats and raccoons are using it as a litter box, which is not true, because feral animals would not go out in the open. They'd be under the bushes. But there is a sharply divided, we want the sandbox to stay, we want the sandbox to go. So Parks has just left it. They've done nothing to it. And a cubic yard, Joe's not going to be able to keep the park clean because they could barely blow the leaves out, much less sweep sand that can't be done by a blower. So I tried to recruit people.
Yeah.
I tried to recruit people, but it's such a controversial issue that, the sand is expensive, Rachel, because it's got to be a special kind of sand. Paul used to purchase it with money people gave him. And I'm willing to help you if you can help get people who are willing to sweep it. And if you sweep it, you have to throw it outside the fence. You cannot put it back in the sandbox because it's considered contaminated.
So I'm just wondering, this was approved a year ago by the community board, so I didn't know that could happen, and then there were other parties that had to agree. That's how it works? That these who is Joe?
So Joe is Joe
the map.
McNary. He's the district manager for the Parks Department. So he's with the maintenance and operations team. And so he would be the person who would go arrange for the sand, etc. I mean, what it sounds like it really is almost like you need a playground group as well of like to get a gathering of the parents together so that you can coordinate both the care for it, but also just communication about the expectations for sand and stuff. I mean, Rachel, do you think there would be interest in making a small group? Because we can connect you with Partnership for Parks and, then you could have little events or whatever, but also maybe you could even raise money for tools or whatever is necessary. They also provide tools free of charge for like events if you wanted to have a little cleanup day once a month around the in the playground area, something like that.
I mean, I'm just surprised, I guess, because I was told when I called 311 that they provided sand and not that the city had decided that we're not doing sandboxes anymore in case the children don't keep the sand neat, which seems like something that's probably an age-old issue, or that there are some parents who don't want their children to touch sand. So I'm curious, I guess, procedurally, how we went from a place that we had a park that had sand in a sandbox to we have an empty pit because a handful of children and like misbehave and throw sand, which is pretty age typical, and some of their parents or babysitters don't do anything. And then, if we really start responding to the parents who want their children to stay clean in the park, um, it's gonna close down all of it. There are parents who also object to the water because it's wet. There are parents who object to soft frisbees. There are parents who object to running and monkey bars.
So just
I,
Rachel, I'm going to stop you just because I'm sure the list of things that there are parents that object to is long.
I'm
But
just
so,
curious. So,
but no, just to give you some context, I mean, I can only provide a little bit of context, but I know that a few years ago when this first surfaced, that what I learned from the Joe McNary at the time was that in general parks did not put in they were not putting in any new sandboxes, and that when they did reconstructions of playgrounds they were removing them, and that they generally were kind of negative towards sandboxes because of the maintenance reasons that Joe just described, of the sand getting everywhere and clogging things, and that because parks doesn't have any funding or staff, things get out of hand out of their control very quickly. But that said, that Joe was like, if there were people, and I know Mary Sari is also another person at Paul's Playground who was advocating for the toys when the toys all got thrown away. That that as long as there were kind of parents who were willing to be engaged with the toys or with the sand, that he was willing to go get it replaced. And so it sounds like they replaced it once, and now here we are again. It needs to be replaced again. And Joe's not on the call, so I don't really know his perspective. He might be fine to replace it. I don't know. But it sounds like it's a call probably we need to do. I mean, are you opposed to kind of maybe making a parent group or something to try to get more interest? I mean, Jody has 2 partner stewardship groups that she runs already. And so she's an old hand at these types of stewardship groups that are really helpful because they raise profile and they help people kind of talk to each other and kind of share resources and take care of the park together. It seems like there's a lot of opportunity at Paul's Playground. I mean, what do you think about something like that?
I think I like the idea of a stewardship group. I don't think I can personally say I can guarantee that there are people who can sweep it up.
Right.
I guess it's one of those things that as a parent, we parents have noticed the sand is disappearing. I don't remember when that was brought to the community or to the parents. I also have a background in education, and a lot of kids now have a lot of sensory issues and anxiety issues, and the removal of things like sand and dirt and Play-Doh is probably not helping. But I guess I was unaware that it seemed like there was a movement to pave over all of the sandboxes, and I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about when that was decided to be a preference, and I don't know. I know it is cleaner. I don't know that keeping our children cleaner has helped them with their mental health and other issues in the last so many years. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to like post on Facebook or in like parent groups about, the idea of helping out. But if everything that we have for the kids is contingent on kids behaving well and all the adults supervising, we won't have much. I was there once when kids who do not live in our neighborhood came up, completely trashed the park. They filled that sandbox with water using the water fountain. It was sad, but if we let one or two kids who are unsupervised, who have irresponsible adults with them, kind of dictate what our kids can have, it's just going to be really, really sad.
Right,
So,
absolutely.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
someone did throw out the brooms.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Deb, may
But it
I-
was one or two people, probably older kids, throwing out brooms. So we can replace the brooms, or
It
we
was-
can.
Okay. May I am the stewardship group for Henry Hudson Park. So if you were willing to come and sweep up sand, we could, the deal was I had to keep it clean. I had to keep it clean for an extended period of time so they didn't fail inspection. And I have no kids. I personally swept that playground every single week, 2 or 3 times a week. And literally it would be full of sand again. The reason why the sand has disappeared is very easy. Paul died. Paul had very strict rules about being in the sandbox. And if you threw sand out, he was like, oh, you can't be in the sandbox. So now that Paul's no longer there, there's no one in the park reminding people, Deb, I would never ask for this because it's crazy, but we used to have playground associates, there were
Right.
people who were in the park, right?
They're
We
called
used to
play
have-
facilitators. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a thing. The play facilitators are a thing.
So
Can I just
Yeah.
mention though that other communities have parks with sand, and there's no requirement that the children don't make a mess with it, and there's no requirement about removing sand that's left this is a special. I have never heard of this until this meeting. This is a special and rather bizarre requirement for sand. The common sense solution is when you let your child play in sand, you make sure they don't eat it, and then when you leave, you wash your hands. So
Rachel, I'm just gonna to stop back because I don't want to have too much back and forth about this. I mean, I think what would be helpful is if you would reach out to the board office so that we can just establish a communication, and if we can follow up with Joe to see what the current state is of a request for sand at all, like whether they would do it or not. What your reason this seems I think you use the word bizarre, but I think really what you're hearing is the nuances behind some of the decisions, and that generally the Parks Department will sometimes push back against refilling sandboxes. The sandboxes are surprisingly controversial. But then I think
sanitary.
What?
They're not sanitary.
Well, and so I think the thing is, if you can reach out to the board office, and then we can follow up with Joe to find out the specifics of where Parks stands right now. And then I appreciate Jody. I mean, all of Jody's work here. That the truth of the matter is that the Parks Department are maintained by volunteers on the day-to-day matters like this. And that until we have 1% of park funding, 1% of the city budget actually funding the parks, the playgrounds are going to be locked, the restrooms are not going to be open, the sand is not going to be swept, there's not going to be play equipment, the lights are going to be broken, the sand is going to be missing. All these things are because the mayor and the city council do not give enough money to the Parks Department. So we're getting into like a bizarro backwards world where we're like, why can't children have sand or touch dirt? And the reality is that they can't touch the dirt because it might have needles in it because the Parks Department staff is inadequate. And so, but I agree with you. And Jody, I know, agrees with you. She's a lover of nature, and so she wants kids out in nature too. It's totally stupid. And so we need more money from the Parks Department. And so, and definitely we shouldn't be fighting among ourselves when we all agree. And so, I think the best place to start is we'll start with the Parks Department. But definitely, could you please contact the board office so we have your direct communication and then we can kind of figure out where to go from there, and maybe we have to talk about it over the course of the month and at the next meeting. But I thank you for raising it.
Sure. Can I bring up one more very small clean parks thing? I had
Sure.
just emailed and they told me to come to this meeting. The kids like
Yeah.
Foursquare, and it would be great if there could be some painted Foursquare on the cement.
Is there a
I was,
place you have in mind?
yeah,
We
I
should
was
talk to Jody. Do you know Jody?
I do know Jody. Hi, Jody.
Hey, what's
Okay.
okay, what's Foursquare?
Foursquare is a game that they play on the cement. You paint a square, and then you divide that square into 4 equal boxes, and then the kids bring one of those big rubber balls. And the rest of the rules depend on where you grew up, but it's a lot of fun. And the kids are drawing it with chalk sometimes, but I think that they would actually probably get together and meet for Foursquare the way they meet for basketball. The spot I had in mind for was the Spuyten Duyvil playground next to PS24. So not the basketball courts on the north side, but the other half of it has some basketball courts where it's like a half court. So if they leave it so that there's the half court is left alone because the kids do use that for half court basketball, there's a whole area that's kind of just plain cement. So if they could paint a couple Foursquares there, the kids could do that at the same time as some other kids are playing basketball. And then I would leave the perimeter free because the kids roller skate and ride their bikes kind of in circles around over there. So I don't know if there's other places in town, but that's just where I would recommend to paint it. And that's a very cheap, long-lasting entertainment.
Right. So 2 things about that. One, I think that specific playground area is jointly operated playground with PS24, if I'm correct. It's called a JOP, which we recently learned about. So the school would have to sign off on it, but that and it might make life easier because you probably could, if the school is okay with it and the Parks Department is okay with it, you could just paint it as an event. And put it wherever you want. It's just a matter of getting approvals. So I can certainly have Farah reach out to the Parks Department to see if the assumption that the JOP is correct, and what their position would be on in a volunteer-led event where you paint a big Foursquare on a play area.
Well, I think one thing is you'd have to show there is some community support for the idea.
That's true.
It's not going to happen because 1 or 2 people ask for it. So there would have to be, some strong community support to do this.
Okay, so what would that look like? Like signing? Like people signing that they're
Probably like
interested?
a petition. Yeah, like a petition or something.
Yeah, or a collection of emails or a single email with a lot of different signatures.
Right.
But it would have to be a lot of people demonstrating that they want this.
Yeah. But I can
And
also
do you have a sense of the
do a
number?
little-
Like ballpark, what would you suggest I ask around?
Well, the
100,
more you get,
1,000?
the better. I don't think we can put a number on it, but the more you get, the better.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't look very good if it's 2 or 3 people.
Right. I mean, it's just
No.
enough. I mean, if you think about like the Little League, I think the Little League had a petition that
Yeah.
had 100 people on it.
I forget that, but exactly, yeah, they had a lot of support. Yeah. Mhm.
I think Lou, when he was advocating for the pickleball court, Lou, do you remember how many folks were advocating for that? I feel like I got maybe 10 or 15 people ultimately who reached out in support of the pickleball courts.
Well, we now, excuse me, we now have 234 people who are signed up on Team Reach. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Team Reach. It's an online app used by a lot of city parks and private pickleball facilities for members to communicate and say, hey, anyone playing tomorrow, or the court's in really lousy shape, anyone have a blower or whatever. Anyway, we used to get 234 people, residents in Riverdale, who were interested in pickleball. It's
Right.
really popular.
So something like that, where the committee would be like, okay, this is obviously supported, and then we could also support it as well. But I'm also happy to just reach out to the Parks Department to see like how they even think about something like this, whether it's an
Yeah.
easy no brainer, you only need a few people who are like, yes, we're into it, or whether they're kind of not so sure, where you
And they need to be persuaded.
need to be
Yeah.
persuaded.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll email you, I guess, to find out. But I think I can garner support for the Foursquare being painted. I think I
Okay,
can do
that's
it.
fine. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you, Rachel. Nice to meet you. And
Nice to meet
have a
you
good,
all.
we'll be exchanging emails.
Yes.
Great. All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Night.
So Lou, you're up next.
Okay, thank you. I'm Lou Wunderlich. I live on Palisade Avenue. I'd like to speak to you guys tonight about the one and only pickleball court in Riverdale, and that's at 237th Street and Manor Terrace. The court was installed by the Parks Department about 3+ years ago. They took a handball court and converted it. They painted the lines, they put in steel posts for the net, and they put up some low level chain link fence to keep balls from going all over the other active handball courts. I mentioned the fact that the one court is very, very popular. And if anybody's interested in, I don't know if you're familiar with the Team Reach program, but if anybody's interested, you can go online, look up Team Reach, and the name of our site is Riverdale 237th Street. And there's a code to get in, and you can just see, who's involved or whatever. But it's an easy code. It's RVDL 237. So feel free. Fast forward 3 years since the court was installed. The court is really in deplorable condition, and I sent Deb a video. It's about a 1-minute video earlier. I don't know whether she shared it with anybody or you've seen it.
Have it. Yeah.
But I don't know if you're playing it now or whatever. The lines are badly faded in some places. They're non-existent. So if you're serving from one end of the court, you can't see what you're aiming at. There's no way to see it. The net is torn, and we're holding it together with rope to fasten it to the posts. When they installed the court, the Parks Department didn't think about the tree that overhangs the court. And right now, the tree has grown. More than half the court is covered by a low-lying tree. So if you hit a lob shot in the air, it goes into the tree and it's like a ball in a pinball machine. You don't know where it's going to land, and it really interferes with play. And lastly, the handball lines from the old court run through the middle of the pickleball court, and the old lines appear to be an expansion joint that Parks Department filled in with caulking, but they didn't bring the level up to the top of the concrete. I guess they used a cork spoon that was concave, so you have basically a divot. So when a ball is hit and it hits anywhere along the line, it just flies all over. You can't play it. So there are a lot of negative factors, on the court right now. We need some assistance, and that's why I'm asking you folks to help and maybe nudging Parks Department to do something about the court. We occasionally, like in the fall, I know you mentioned the leave issue. I've personally gone across the street to the park and asked the guys who are blowing leaves, can you come across the street, and blow the leaves off the court?
Yeah.
And they do. And I've actually brought a leaf blower on occasion because there was no one from the Parks Department, so I keep it in my car. But yeah, it's a poor showing. I feel like we're, the northwest portion of the city, and we don't get great service. Certainly with some of our parks, as you mentioned, some of them are really old and they're in need of repairs. On a positive note, I don't know whether you're aware of this, but I just got a letter today. Council member Dinowitz got $2 million for Seton Park to redo the tennis courts and install a pickleball court. Now, I don't know whether that's pickleball court, singular or plural, but if they were to use a tennis court, if the current courts are regulation size, you can actually put 4 pickleball courts on one regulation tennis court. So I'm hopeful. The only question I guess that I have for you folks, would this be a capital project or would this be a work order contract for replacement of existing park property? Because if it's a capital project, we won't see anything for 3 years.
Yeah, my understanding about the Seton Park tennis court and pickleball project was that they were resurfacing the tennis courts and replacing at least one tennis court with pickleball.
Mhm.
And I don't know how many, but they've always used the plural, so I know it's more than one.
Oh, okay.
So I've always assumed it was at least 2, but maybe it's 4. I don't know. But I can't get more details from it. That's really wonderful news. They've kicked in more money for the pickleball and tennis court project. So I'll link a note to kind of check with Kat to see if that means it's fully funded, and I can find out from her how many courts there are.
Well, if
Okay.
if the council got funding, it had to be for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
You know, so it would be worth going back to the councilman's office or wherever you got the information from and asking, could they tell you what that money is intended for?
Well, the letter that I have, very specific, they say that it was secured for brand new pickleball courts and replacement of the tennis courts. So
Okay.
Yeah,
it sounds like there's a
So
There's
it's
a
the same
purpose.
project, and I thought it's a capital project.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
on the
that
capital
right?
register. Yeah.
so it's 3 years away, unfortunately.
I can get the year. Because yes, it's 3 years, it's probably 3 years away because it's the design phase alone is 16 months and
Procurement.
and
Right,
procurement,
and
all that.
procurement, and then completion of your construction drawings and contracting. So
Yeah.
The only thing that makes me wonder is that maybe they're further along in the design project process because the price went up.
Mhm.
Right, and so they might maybe work through that first part, so I can ask her like what when the design will be completed and.
Well,
kind of
there may
timeline.
already be a standard design because this is happening elsewhere, not just here. There may already be a standard design for when you take a tennis court and turn it into a pickleball court.
But I think they're doing all the tennis courts too, though. And like one of the
Yeah.
tennis courts has that funny
Right.
little canteen in front of it, for lack of a better word.
Okay,
You know, that little.
I haven't been down to those tennis courts.
Water
It's got like
fountain?
it's got like a snack shack, kind of in front of it. The one where the tennis court at the very
Oh, at
end
the
that
very
has
end.
the
Yes,
pro.
yes.
It has like a little snack shack in front of it,
Yeah.
which would be a great place to get a little coffee.
that years ago used to be there was somebody
Tickets or something,
someone
right?
from the Parks Department who would check permits, and that's where you signed in with your permit.
Ah.
They had a sign up board, and you had to show your permit, and then you picked the time. And that ended a
that's
long,
cool.
long time ago.
Right,
Okay.
but something
But
like
it would
that
make a
seems
great
like a
coffee
little-
shop.
It would be a great little coffee shop, right? Get a little cappuccino thing and.
Yeah.
Fremont.
But and whether that would survive, right? If they redo the tennis court, maybe that goes away. Maybe
Yeah.
they,
Sure.
I don't know.
No, correct.
No, but I'll ask her about timeline and when the design will be done.
That would
And
be
the
great
number
if you
of
can get
walk-ups.
back to me. I can let some other people know and put a note up on Team Reach. Okay.
Yep, totally.
All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, and also Lou, just so you know, Artie's already reached out to the Parks Department about all of the issues you raised, the paint, the tree,
Great.
trimming it, all that stuff. So we'll reach back out once we get back from them.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Have a good
no,
night.
thanks for coming on the call. Good night.
All righty. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night. All right. Any other new business, Jody?
Hey. So I
right.
always like to update the committee when I'm doing something new in the parks. So if you get calls about about a year ago, I mentioned how we Parks Department closed the trail. Well, they closed 3 trails in Spuyten Duyvil Shorefront Park because of broken berm on Edsel Avenue allowed water from the Henry Hudson Bridge at Palisade, Edsel, and Johnson to erode out over 600 feet of trail, some down to 18 inches deep. So DOT cannot fix the berm unless they do a complete street, which you can't do on Edsel because part of Edsel is in Shorefront Park, just like part of Palisade is in Riverdale Park. So, and Parks can't fix it because it's in the bed of the road. So I'm working with the Natural Areas Conservancy on some ways that we can keep water coming down the slope into the trail. And I've already started repairing the trail, and hopefully we will be able to reopen it this year. But it took me, I had 14 people in the park with me on Saturday, and we only did maybe 20 feet of a 600-foot trail. So, so we'll be having some work days with the Natural Areas Conservancy to start putting in the water bars that will divert the water away from the trail. So that trail will be closed still, even though it looks like it's in better condition, because we have to open the whole thing, not just the piece that we fixed, because it's a dead end. And I've also closed all the desire lines where people have been going around the, I don't know what they're called. I call them bicycle barricades.
Yeah.
You know, the metal. So they've been going around those and trampling paths in the forest floor. So I continually to close them. And I put up signs, even though it says trail closed, unsafe conditions, I put up signs that said, do not enter, trail, you know, habitat, trail and habitat restoration, walking on closed trails, further damage, creates further damage. So,
Right.
so I am working with Parks and with Natural Areas Conservancy on that project. And as I did copy you, I just want to mention to the rest of the committee, a group someone posted on Nextdoor trying to get people together to put bird houses and cat houses in Shorefront Park and to create an area for people to gather in the park. And I've already seen some shrubs being cut down. So I did forward that to Joe, and he forwarded it to legal. And I don't know if they'll take action because you know our results with vandalism, but I just wanted to update. And if you didn't see it, there was a really great article in the Riverdale Press about all of us shoveling snow in our parks, or them being left unplowed because Parks doesn't have money to do the job that they're assigned, and they keep pulling to do jobs that they're not assigned. So,
Right.
so that's, and of course we're in Henry Hudson Park. When's the next meeting? You probably, is it late April? When's your next meeting?
I don't have my phone.
Was it in? Where is it? Where would you look for it? My calendar?
My calendar.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna.
Okay.
It is, the next meeting is April 22nd. Earth Day.
Okay.
Oh, is it?
So then I will give you, we will have a work day on April 11th is our next work day in Henry Hudson Park. I did receive permission from horticulture to prune shrubs in there. So I will be doing that myself. I do have my Partnership for Parks permission. I have horticulture permission, and I also have a super steward permit. So,
What time
so I will be pruning.
What time
10
is
to
your work day on the
12:30,
11th?
April 11th. 10 to
What time?
12:30.
10 to 12:30? Okay.
I'm sorry.
And
can
where
you hear
should
me?
they gather?
10 to 12:30?
Yeah, 10 to 12:30,
At
and
the
where should
statue.
they? At the statue. Okay. Okay.
At the
All right. Thank
statue.
you, Jody.
And then for Shorefront Park is Sunday the 29th, 2 o'clock, across from 2263 Edsel Avenue.
So March 29th
Yes,
at 2 p.m. You said?
yes.
That's this Sunday.
Okay, across the street
Yeah,
from Epsom
well,
Avenue.
yeah, as more people are in the parks, I like to keep you updated as to what I'm doing so that if people make comments about things, you'll know whether it was or was not me.
Yep, okay.
And if you don't want those updates, I'll just skip it and you can end the meetings earlier.
No, it's fine. Also, if you wanna, I mean, I think it's helpful for the committee for stuff like this, but also if you wanna just email me the dates and times, that way I can just include them in the announcement at the beginning. But
Okay,
thank you as
thank
always,
you.
Jody. Yeah, good night.
Thank you guys
So
as
any
always.
other-
Thank you so much for the Bruckner box.
Yeah, we will get that stupid Bruckner box. I move to adjourn the meeting.
Sounds good.
Second,
Mhm.
right,
No objections.
meeting is adjourned, it is 9:10.
Good night, everybody. Thanks again.
Night.
Night.
Good night.
Night, Joey.